Hello everyone, this is Mark Ora here with another fabric modding tutorial. In our last video, we went over creating your first item in the game, but we have yet to discuss item modification. So let's get right into it. Now, what if you wanted to change your item's text color? To do this, go to Moted Creator, which I will have a link for in the description, and you can play around with a bunch of different color combinations. This website is intended primarily for its use in servers, but we are going to be using it to create color definitions in our lang file. You can see the code for dark aqua here is and3. We're going to use the same convention in our lang file. Just copy the same code you have there, but we're not going to use this and symbol. We need to replace that with a different one. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the shortcut is for this symbol. So just go down to the description of this video where I'll have at least 100 of them for you to use. Just copy paste it and put it right into your IDE. Now our item has a pretty aqua color to its text. You can actually include multiple of these color codes in one name and it will change the color accordingly. Now, what if you wanted your item to have special properties? Say, a different stack size, or you wanted your item to apply certain effects to you. Perhaps you wanted your item to explode or shoot you a million blocks into the sky. We can do all of those. We just need to create a new item class. Go ahead and create a new package called items. Inside that, we're going to create a new class, and we'll call this class new item. An important thing with creating classes is you want no spaces, but you can capitalize them. So for this, it would not be acceptable to have per se new space item. You would want one solid length of characters that is new item. Create the class, and inside this we are going to create a new item class, and for that we're going to extend the item class from the original Minecraft code. Alright, another Java lesson. What extends does is it basically adds all of the code existing in the item class to this one without having to write it all down. It is very convenient for creating classes with similar properties but not exactly the same. We are going to use this in order to create an item with interesting and new effects. Inside of your class, create a constructor. What a constructor does is it's basically the instructions from this class. When you reference this class, say in this main class, you would call new item. The constructor tells it what to do. It's basically the brains of the operation. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, just teaching you enough Java in order to code in Minecraft all on your own. But if you'd like some more in-depth tutorials, I'd be happy to make a series specifically on Java code, and I'll make sure everything I'm saying is, well, objectively correct rather than just suiting our needs. Now, inside the parentheses, we're going to add of type settings. What this does, it adds a parameter to this constructor. Without getting too verbose, that's basically inside of these curly brackets, we're going to refer to settings. It is going to alter the settings of whatever new item we instantiate. The parameters we provide here of type settings are going to alter that specific item. Inside of these brackets, we are going to make super settings. And that's all you need in order to create a new class. We can replace the item class here with new item, import it into our main class, and then this item will function just as it did before. Because we haven't added any new methods or different functionality to this item, it merely extends the exact same properties of the item class. Now here is where it gets interesting. We are going to add an action result. Basically, when the player right-clicks on this item, it is going to cause an action or something to happen. For this, I'm going to use @override, and then public typed action result, item stack, use, world. Make sure the second one is not capitalized, so it is not the same as the type declaration. Player entity, and then hand. Close the parentheses and then open some brackets. After that, we are going to return typed action result dot success, and then player entity dot get stack in hand, and then hand, close off the parentheses, and then add a semicolon. Now what this does is it executes anything that lies within these brackets. And for us, I'm going to alter the player's velocity. In our case, we're going to go to player entity dot velocity. Now there's get velocity and set velocity. You're going to want to set the velocity, and here we're going to use the X, Y, and Z velocity of the player. Unfortunately, you can't just put in X, Y, and Z and expect it to work. We're going to use the current X velocity of the player, which is player entity dot get velocity dot X. For Y, we are going to be changing Y, so we'll deal with that one after. For Z, player entity dot get velocity dot Z. And then for Y velocity, we're going to add 0.5. This will launch the player up a little bit. You can add anything you like here. You can add a sound event, anything you like. As a matter of fact, just to show you how to do it, I will add a sound. For this, we're going to do player entity, play sound, sound events, dot, and then you can search through all of these sound events and choose the one you like. For me, I will choose ancient debris break sound effect. And after that, you're going to choose the volume and the pitch of the sound effect. In my case, I'll leave them both at 1. Now we're ready to start up our client again and test out our new item. Quick recap, we created a new class that extends item called new item. We added a method to override what happens when the player right-clicks it, and we switched out the item class for our new item class to make our cobalt ingot have some new and interesting effects. Now we have our cobalt ingot, and upon right-clicking, it puts you up a little bit and plays that sound effect. Now to me, it doesn't quite make sense that a cobalt ingot would rocket you up, so we can remove that. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think it is very logical for you to fly using cobalt. So for the purposes of continuity and player sanity, we are going to comment out this specific line of code. Now, this is another Java lesson. In order to comment out lines of code, you're going to use 2 slashes. You can also use a slash and 2 stars, and that will comment out every single line until it receives a star and another slash. This is useful for commenting out multiple lines of code at once, but in our case, we are just going to use the simple 2 slashes. Now, if we start up the game, you will notice that the sort of velocity effect is now removed. Now all it does is play that lovely ancient debris sound effect. As a last little bonus, I'm going to show you how to randomize your sound effect pitch. For that, we are going to do 0.5 pitch and divide it by random, next float, and multiply that by 0.4 float plus 0.8 float. Now what this does is it creates a random float. A float is a type of number, and then multiplies it by 0.4. It adds 0.8 to it, and then that number will alter our eventual pitch of the sound effect coming out of our cobalt. Doing this makes your sound effects sound a little more spontaneous, somewhat more organic, and, in my opinion, more original. This is a way that you can use existing sound effects to create different and non-vanilla effects in your mods. Upon entering the world, it still creates that sound effect, but you can hear every time I do it, it is slightly different. Now, if you wanted to adjust the pitch up slightly, you can increase this float to 1.0. In my case, I think it could use a little higher pitch, so I'm going to use 1.4. Now I think we've hit the sweet spot for this sound effect. You'll notice that every single sound it makes is just a little different and somewhat random. This is the same code that the Minecraft developers used to create the snowball sound effect. It may not sound too different, but every snowball you throw makes a slightly different sound effect. Using this method in modding allows you to create different sound effects from existing ones in the Minecraft assets. And that's all there is to it, creating an item class and changing how the item behaves in the world. For my next release, we're going to be taking a break from Fabric and moving towards Forge, specifically the use of Zen scripts to change mods after export. Next up, for Fabric, we'll be creating item groups. Stay tuned for more modding tutorials. This has been Mark Ora. Happy modding, and I'll see you in the next video.